In this video, we are going to deep dive into OpenAI's newly launched reasoning models. So what are the X factor of these reasoning models? So these models are basically trained with reinforcement learning to perform complex reasoning and think before answering any questions. There are particularly two models into this category. One is O1 Preview and another is O1 Mini. O1 Preview is designed to reason about hard problems and for use cases where broad knowledge is required. O1 Mini is a faster and cheaper version of O1. This is useful in use cases where a specific knowledge is required. But can we just go ahead and use this model in all our use cases? Well, that's not true. So these models are not intended to replace GPT-4o in all use cases. Let's see some use cases, right? So GPT-4o and Mini model would still be useful in the use cases where actually your application needs image input, function calling, or consistently fast response. Whereas O1 would be useful where application which demands deep reasoning and can accommodate longer response time. Because in over models, reasoning are required and this model thinks before answering any question. So the model can take anywhere from few seconds to several minutes to provide a response. Now, what are the limitations of all these O1 models? So as of now, these O1 models are currently available in beta release. Because this model has been released in beta release, so there would be certain limitations around it. First limitation would be access is limited to developers in certain usage tiers only. If you fall into usage tier 3 or above than 3, then you would be able to use this model. But if you are below that usage tier 3, then you won't be able to use this model. And how you can check for this usage tier? You can just go to this OpenAI website, and after that you can just click on product. You can go to API login. Once you get this page, you can just click on API, and here you will go to your settings. Under organization, you will see the limits, and in this limit, if you scroll it a bit down, then you will see your current tier. And I'm in usage tier 3. If I have to go to usage tier 4, then I need to have at least like $250 spent on the API since account creation. Like this, there are certain criteria for all usage tiers. But as of now, if you are in usage tier 2 or usage tier 1 or you don't have paid account, then you won't be able to access these models. Other thing is going to be, as of now, only text is supported. Probably like in few weeks or a month of time, they would release all these capabilities with this reasoning models, where it can support the images and other things as well. As of now, only user and assisted message are supported. We cannot pass any system message to these models. Also, the tools, function calling, and response format parameters are not supported. If you are using this particular models to experiment or to build certain application, then you have to keep this limitation in mind. Maybe after some times all this feature would be available, then we can just go ahead and utilize all these features with these reasoning models. With this knowledge in mind, we can just go ahead and try to build a very simple demo application just to see like how to invoke this. I will just go to my Visual Studio. The template is going to be like this. It's going to be same what we have been using earlier in our videos. So we still have to call this chat completion create point, and because we cannot pass a system message, so we can just pass a user role over here with the content. So in the model, what I would do, I can just go ahead and pass this O1 Mini. Here I can just pass a very popular question which everyone has been asking, and I would just try to go ahead and run this. I have got this response. So here you're seeing the word strawberries contains 3 instances of the letter R, and they are also provided a breakdown. So first R is over here, second is over here, third is over here, and it's concluding, okay, there are 3 R's over here. Instead of Mini, you can go ahead and try to call this preview model if you want. And if you want to compare it with our earlier model, then I can just go ahead and try to call GPT-4o Mini, and I can just try to see like what response I'm going to get. So I'm just going to run this so that we can compare the output. In this case also, it's saying, okay, there are 3 instances of the letter R, but you can see the reasoning capability of the O1 model, like how it is giving us output, denoting, okay, where exactly R or present, and then it's giving us output. Whereas in GPT-4o Mini, it's just directly giving us the output. Now, one more thing what I wanted to highlight, like if I just remove this and only print the response, then we would get all these tokens details over here. So you can see the completion token, prompt token, and you can also see the reasoning tokens are 0 in this case, where we are using the GPT-4o Mini model. But if I go over here and just pass this O1 Mini and try to run this, then again, you will see the breakdown what we have got in the output, but just focus on this model and tokens over here. So model, basically what version of O1 Mini we have been using. And also if you see, there is something coming up as a reasoning token, and in this case, the reasoning token is 192. So let's go back to our diagram and just see, okay, what exactly are these reasoning tokens? So these reasoning tokens are newly introduced in this open model series. And you can consider it more of a thinking tokens. Using that token, they just try to break down the prompts which we had given and try to come up with the multiple approaches to generate a response. And that's why it takes more time to give us an answer. One more thing, what we need to see over here, like after generating reasoning tokens, the model produces an answer as a visible completion tokens and discard the reasoning tokens from its context. Other thing actually what we have to notice over here, we have to ensure there is enough space in the context window for reasoning tokens when creating completions. Context window for these models are going to be 128K, and under output there are going to be prompt which is going to come as an output, and there are going to be the reasoning token as well. So that's why the output token limit of all these models have been increased significantly. In the earlier model GPT-4o or GPT-4o mini, the output token limit were around 4K or maximum 8K, but in these particular reasoning models, if you notice, the output token limit has been increased for Open Preview and Open Mini both. So Open Preview is having the output token limit of 32K, whereas Open Mini is having the output token limit of 65K. And this has been increased because it has to accommodate the reasoning tokens as well. So this is also like one of the important aspect that we have to keep it in mind, because if you notice this particular point, like depending on the model complexity, the model may generate from a few hundred to 10 of thousands of reasoning tokens. So we need to have a space for all those tokens over here under this 120K context window. So that's why the output limit has been increased for these models. Next segment of this, which is going to be pricing. If you see this GPT-4o model, we're having like $2.5 for 1 million input token, whereas GPT-4o mini was having $0.15 per 1 million token. And you can see the output token cost as well. You see like in Open Preview and Open Mini model, it's going to come up with a higher pricing limit. So in Open Preview for 1 million input token, we have to spend around $15 and $60 for output token, whereas in Open Mini, it's going to be $3 per 1 million input token, and this is going to be $12 for 1 million output token. Obviously, these particular reasoning models are going to be more expensive, but all this depends on the output token what we have been generating. In these particular models, we are going to have reasoning tokens as well as part of the processing. So the cost should be included for those tokens as well. That's why if you want to control the cost, then we have to control the number of tokens which are being generated, and that we can control it using this max completion tokens, considering like we need to have enough space for reasoning token as well to perform the reasoning capability. So they are saying like even if we want to control the completion token, we have to set a limit of 25,000 for our experimentation. So this is all about the reasoning model. Now actually let's go to our Visual Studio and try to test it out with some hard use cases. So I will just pass this prompt to it, and this is regarding a specific use case. Here it's saying I want to build a generative AI application in Python programming language to help insurance companies to identify the risk level of a member patient. Please note that I do not want to use the traditional machine learning models, and please suggest an algorithm for the same. Please also suggest how should I report risk level of a member and what should be the primary input parameters to be considered. Please do provide some sample input data as well along with the sample application code. So what I can do first so that we can compare the output, I would just go ahead and try to test it out with GPT-4o mini, and I would just go ahead and run this. We have got the output here, but it's not in the readable format because we were printing whole response in this case. Before modifying the response, what I want to focus over here, if you see the reasoning token with this is 0. So these particular models are not utilizing the reasoning tokens. They are just giving us a output directly. Just to go through the content of it, I will just go to choices, then go to message, and then we'll go to content section of it, and we'll just try to run this application again. And you can see like we have got a detailed response in this case. So starting from here, and it's saying like, okay, risk assessment in insurance companies is interesting challenge to utilize like variational autoencoders models, algorithm suggestion it's giving, and then like primary input parameters, age, gender, health, history, lifestyle, occupation, family history, and previous claims. And here is an example of how your input data might look. Then there is a sample application that it has built using Python and using TensorFlow and Keras. Reporting risk levels, what we have, how I can calculate the risk scores, the risk classes, and visualization. Now, instead of GPT-4o mini, try to utilize O1 mini model first, and I can go ahead and try to run this. And I know like if I'm running this application, it's going to use the reasoning tokens. And now in this case, we have got the output as well, and it's direct using OpenAI GPT-4 model and algorithm selection leveraging large LLM. Then it's giving a reason like why I have to use the LLM, and then let's go to reporting risk level and saying like your risk level should be like this: low, medium, and high risk. Then it's giving us an example report structure, which we were not getting it in GPT-4o mini. So it's giving like member ID, risk level 1, risk score, and assessment details. Primary input parameters, it has divided into multiple segments. So one is going to be demographic information, age, gender, and occupation, then the medical history, then the lifestyle factors, family history, and additional factors. At the end, it's giving us sample input data, and here is a sample data set in the JSON format representing a member's information. Then it has just giving me this kind of input data, what I have to consider to feed it into the model, and how this data is going to look like. And then at the end, it's giving us a sample application code, asking it to get the OpenAPI key. We have to install OpenAI, and then it's just giving us prompt also, and how we have to pass a prompt over here with the condition and everything, and then what we can do to generate this response. Yeah, so the output from O1 mini has been pretty good, I would say. If I compare with the GPT-4o mini model, at the end it is giving explanation of the code and the sample output, how this is going to look like. And also it's giving consideration in best practices, data privacy, API cost and rate limit, model limitation, enhancement, and also how I can extend the application. So batch processing, integration, automation, and at the end it's giving us a conclusion. Yeah, definitely I can say like the output what I am getting from O1 mini is more comprehensive and more aligned with the approach which I wanted to take, and it could be because of its high reasoning capabilities. One last thing what I wanted to check over here, the reasoning token. So I would just go ahead and print a response directly. And here you can see the reasoning token it took was 448. This is under the completion tokens. So this is what we have in this video. Thank you for watching.